a mysterious plague doctor who predicted the end of humanity in 2023. So let us explore this terrifying tale today. Michael S. Malone was born on October 8, 1947, in Cleveland, Ohio. He was an American physician, author, and radio host. During his time at the University of Michigan Medical School, he wrote a thesis titled An Evaluation of the Health Hazards Associated with Use of Pesticides in Agriculture. His research into pesticides led him to become increasingly concerned about another serious environmental threat: smoking. It was in 1999 when he released a book titled The Hammer of God, The Unforgiving Physics That Can Break Your Heart and Other Puzzles of the Human Body. Henry had studied post-mortem human dissection and found that sudden death could indeed cause bone fractures in up to 7% of cases. Published in 2019, the book delved deep into one of the deadliest epidemics in history and how it completely reshaped Europe. He looked at the socioeconomic conditions that made the plague thrive and examined the medical practices of the time and their effect on the spread of the disease. He also explored the origins of some of the common misconceptions surrounding the plague, such as the role of Jews, bad air, and flea-infested rats. Malone went on to write other popular books like Deadly Sins, The New American Plague, The Truth About Cancer, and The Obesity Epidemic. He argued that it wasn't just because people were dirty or lived in close quarters, but also because Europeans had become too clean. Malone believed that the next big plague would come from a virus that originated in bats. There are other viruses out there that could wipe us out just as quickly, like the Marburg virus, which has a mortality rate of 88 to 90%. For starters, we need to stop encroaching into new habitats. As humans continue to encroach into new habitats, they're coming into contact with more viruses than ever before. Finally, we need to be prepared for the next pandemic. It also showed us how important it is to be prepared. If we learn from our mistakes and take the necessary precautions, we can hopefully avoid the worst-case scenario predicted by Dr. Malone. This means having a plan in place for how to respond to an outbreak. It also means investing in research to develop new treatments and vaccines. For example, the Ebola virus is found in fruit bats in Africa. When humans encroach into their habitat, they're exposed to the virus. He died from cancer, which is ironic considering he spent his career studying ways to prevent disease. But Dr. Malone's legacy lives on in his work. He was a pioneer in the field of environmental health, and his research helped to protect millions of people from the dangers of pesticides. He also sounded the alarm about the threat posed by viruses and urged us to take precautions. Hopefully, we'll listen to his warning so that we can avoid the fate predicted in his last book. Or the Ebola virus, which has a mortality rate of up to 90%. With so many deadly viruses out there, it's only a matter of time before one jumps species and infects humans. When it does, we better hope that we're prepared. They are known carriers of Ebola, Marburg, Nipah, and Hendra, viruses, and COVID-19. And according to Malone, there are approximately 2 million viruses swimming around in the saliva of just one bat. Most of these viruses aren't harmful to humans, but there is a small chance that one could mutate and jump species. And if it does, the consequences will be dire. Their improved hygiene and nutritional status had weakened them against the bacteria that causes the plague. These are the perfect conditions for viruses to incubate and evolve. There are also many different species of bats, which means that there are a lot of opportunities for viruses to hop from one species to another. If a virus mutates and begins attacking humans, it will find a whole new population to infect. It won't take long before it spreads all over the world, especially since we rely so heavily on international travel and trade. And while the plague did eventually subside, Malone warned that a similar pandemic could happen again. In it, he wrote about how the heart is like a biological hammer that can unexpectedly break your bones. He explained that when the heart stops beating, the blood remains in the arteries, which puts pressure on the vessels and organs around them. And if the person dies suddenly from heart failure, the force of their blood can actually be strong enough to break bones. So he began advocating against it, which led him to writing several books such as Tobacco, The Thinking Person's Guide to Quitting, and Smoke Signals. A physician explores the hidden dangers of tobacco smoke. In it, he proposed that pesticide chemicals should be regulated more strictly due to the adverse effects they can have on human health. In 1970, he founded the Environmental Health Center at the University of California, San Diego, which was the first academic department to focus specifically on the effects of pesticides on human health. However, his most famous work came much later. He supported this with data from a study conducted by John Henry, a professor emeritus of pathology at the Boston University Medical School. But his last and perhaps most controversial book was called Plague Doctor: The Definitive History of the Black Death, the worst plague of all. Malone also explained why the plague ravaged Europe so hard. It was here that he made his most chilling prediction. Bats carry so many viruses because they live in dark, dank places with lots of other bats. When this happens, humans will be totally unprepared. Malone explained that even though viruses are everywhere, our bodies have evolved to be germ-free. Our immune systems don't know how to fight off viruses, so we'll be totally defenseless. This will lead to total chaos and devastation. Some people will try to flee to remote areas, but it'll be too late. Viruses can be spread by wind currents, water runoff, and insects. They'll infect everyone except those who are immune. But this will only be a small percentage of the population. So what's the mortality rate? According to Malone, it will be 100%. In a matter of months, the entire human race will be wiped out. It might sound crazy, but he has a point. Pandemics have devastated humanity throughout history. From the Justinianic plague to the Black Death to COVID-19, deadly diseases have always been a threat to our survival. And it's not just plagues that we have to worry about. With all of this in mind, it seems like the end of humanity is inevitable. But what can we do to slow down its coming? If we want to avoid another pandemic, we need to stay away from viruses altogether. We also need to be more careful when handling animals. Many viral diseases are zoonotic, meaning they can be transmitted from animals to humans. For example, rabies is a viral disease that's most commonly transmitted through the bite of an infected animal. Millions of people die each year from rabies, mostly because they don't seek treatment after being bitten by an animal. If we're going to continue to interact with animals, we need to take precautions to protect ourselves. COVID-19 was a wake-up call. It showed us that a deadly virus can emerge and spread quickly. As for the doctor himself, he passed away in July of 2022 at the age of 75. What do you think? Is it inevitable? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.